Hello, and welcome to today's episode of the Best Today podcast. Today, we are talking about the Best Today guide, not only specifically, but why each component of it is exactly as it is, the intentionality behind and the purpose behind every section of it. So, today I am answering the who, what, when, where, how, and why of our signature product, the Best Today Guide. If you are listening to this episode and you did not listen to episode number 1, I want to invite you to hit pause and go and listen to episode 1. It's a really foundational episode. It explains what we do, who we are, what we mean when we use the term Best Today. And you're going to hear it a lot. This is called the Best Today podcast. Our company is always talking about being your best one today at a time. And so I want to make sure you have a full understanding of that, kind of like the whole picture. And then this episode is kind of a piece of that bigger picture. So I'm going to be sharing the details behind, like I said, the intention behind every nook and cranny of the Best Today Guide. I could talk all day about this product, so I'm putting myself on a limited timer. But I want to get into this conversation again, answering the who, what, when, where, how, and why of our signature product, the Best Today Guide. And I guess the best place to start is, what is the Best Today Guide? So the Best Today Guide is a 14-week paper guide. Our customers consistently say that it's better than a planner. And what that really means is it goes beyond what a traditional planner can do and does. It helps you to do more than just plan a list of to-dos to pass away every day, right? It's not that. It's not a place for you just to make a laundry list of things. You use the Best Today Guide every single week, every day, every night. And so it requires and it teaches you at the same time intentionality and consistency. And the reason why it requires consistency is because everything good that you want in this life is on the other side of consistency. It's a muscle that must be exercised in order to be your best one today at a time. And so the Best Today Guide spans 14 weeks. It's undated, so you can begin it the second it hits the doorstep. And that's one of the very first things I knew I wanted to be true of the Best Today Guide when I began developing it as a product. The Best Today Guide has existed in many forms for many years that I've been using. I've been putting this together for years. Testing this proving 3-step process that I'm going to talk about. It teaches you a 3-step process. But as I began to say, okay, I'm going to take these things that I've taught in different segments to different groups of people, different groups of women, and I'm going to create a physical product. I knew I wanted it to be undated so that the second it hits your doorstep, you can begin it. So that at any point in time when someone discovers this guide, they can get started. I don't want you to believe that life only happens in January or in June or July when we hit the second half of the year or when school starts. Life is happening every single day. And so I wanted something that was not restricting and limiting you and your ability to thrive. So I wanted it to be undated. So that's the first thing. And when you open it, what you'll find, some preliminary pages, there's the explanation of the 3-step process, which I'm going to explain in a second. There's a letter from me. There's some example pages to show you what the 3 steps look like. And on that page, there also is a link to videos where I'm walking you through every single page as well, so that you have that video that you can access as soon as you get started, if you need or if you want that. And then after those preliminary pages are your getting started pages. And those pages guide you through important questions so that you can begin writing out your thoughts and answers to just start thinking about this way of being that you may not have before, or maybe you have, and this is an opportunity to continue that or to go deeper. It's to really help you begin to prepare your mind and let go of thinking, or not necessarily let go, but to begin thinking through what you want, who you are, what won't get you to the place you're trying to be, what's most important, what's in your way, what your best looks like. You're going to go through all of this, and it's only, at least as of now, at the time of this recording, it's only 4 pages. And so in those 4 pages, you are going through the getting started section to really start to hone in and prepare your mind and really to start thinking through the questions that are necessary, that are foundational for being your best one today at a time. So after you go through the getting started pages, and you can see all of this at besttodayguide.com. There's video, there's pictures for you can see the specific pages. Step 1 is previewing your week. Every week before your week begins, or so before every week begins, you have the space to first clear your mind. All those things you're thinking about, the things you're concerned about, the things you know are coming up, you can get those all out of your head before you begin to preview the week, right? There's a place to preview your week, looking over your whole week, Monday through Sunday. And there's a space specifically at the top for you to define what your primary focus is for the week and the most important thing that will be completed by the end of the week. And the intention behind this is to require you to think about what is most important before the week even begins, to define what results, if any, you'll need by the end of the week, and then getting a bird's eye view of any events, due dates, and the like that are coming up in your week. You do that all before the week begins. It helps you to be proactive. You now have a look at what's going on, which also helps you if you need to say, oh, I didn't realize Thursday I had put way too much on my plate. We're going to remove that. We're going to take that away. Let's put that over here. Or you know what? That actually isn't important. To really have a look at it before you get into the weeds of it and the week begins, right? So that's step 1. Step 2 is to plan every day the night before. Now, this step alone, as I mentioned in episode 1, has helped thousands of women discover time they thought they did not have. The intentionality of being proactive and thinking about your day before it begins will change the way you live out your days if you do it with consistency. And to be clear, by planning your day, I don't mean you're going to just start listing every action, every errand, every phone call, every meeting that you can schedule. That is not planning. And if you need help with understanding what planning is, I have created a manual, a planning manual to teach you exactly like this is what planning is. This is what the world thinks it is. This is what you may have been taught about planning. But here's what planning actually looks like when you want to live your best. And that will be in today's show notes at besttodayguide.com/2. The link to get that down, that manual for free, is going to be in the show notes to today's episode, besttodayguide.com/2. But back to planning. Planning is not just pulling out a sheet of paper and writing down all the things you could potentially humanly do without, before you just pass out, right? That's preparing yourself for stress. That's preparing yourself for an increased heart rate. And I don't mean in a good way when you're doing cardio. That's preparing you for exhaustion, right? And this is what happens inside of most traditional planners for most people. Day after day, year after year, you just write down what you're going to do from 6 to 6 or on all the on the full page of ticks, all the things. Then you add more things later that you didn't plan and you scratch them out to feel good about yourself. That ends here. Okay. The Best Today Guide first asks you, before you even get into the things and the doing, it first asks you to set a time you're going to wake up. So you set your wake up time and what you're going to do in the morning for your morning routine. Now, it doesn't have to look the same every day, your morning routine, and it doesn't have to be what Instagram has led you to believe a morning routine should be, right? It's what do you need in your morning in the amount of time that you have intentionally allocated for this. So after you define your morning routine, what it is you're going to do in the morning, the next thing you're going to do is write out what you will do for your mental, emotional, and physical health each day, right? Now notice we haven't said a thing about picking up dry cleaning or calling Susie or whatever, because that does not matter right now. When you are thinking about planning your day, we are starting with you. We're starting with intention. We're starting with what it is that you need to input before you try to spend the rest of your day outputting, right? Prioritizing your health every single day is necessary to be your best every day. And for the person who is the pessimist listening, that doesn't mean you have to run a marathon every day. because that's where your mind goes to give you an excuse for not doing this. You take it to the extreme. I challenge you to ask yourself, what does it mean for you and to you if you think taking care of your health is something that's unrealistic, is something that you don't have time for? What are you really saying to yourself about yourself? You get to decide every single day. Every single day you get to decide. No matter how many times you can tell me the things you don't get to decide, every day you get to decide. If you are breathing and living, and chances are if you're listening to this podcast, you get to decide. Now, off my notes, back to my notes. Prioritizing your health every single day is necessary to be your best, okay? And you get to decide what that looks like and the time that you're going to intentionally allocate for it. It's not like, oh, let me just see what I can scrap together. It's no, because I'm planning the night before, here's the amount of time, here's from this time to this time, I'm going to intentionally carve out for me for this. And again, it does not have to be hours daily. Although if you choose to, it can be. It's your best. It's your health, right? And these sections may give you pause because you haven't really been asked or given the space and opportunity to consider your health, especially your mental and emotional health, on a daily basis. But that is one of the many reasons why the Best Today Guide is unlike any other product. These things are necessary in order for you to be your best one today at a time. And there's a reason that I have to think about those things before I ask you to get into the doing of the day, right? The doing is going to happen. It's going to come, right? But the part that we keep skipping over, or we keep just poking holes in our lives to find little small spaces to breathe, is because we're not putting us first. We're not putting our health first. We're not making that a priority. So after that section, the next portion of the planning every day the night before is the results and outcomes. Now, I intentionally avoided the word to-dos here because I realized that the connotation would have the opposite outcome of what the Best Today Guide teaches. Now, there are likely hundreds of things that you can do in a day and that you could do in any given day. But what are the things that you need to do to bring you to some type of conclusion at the end of the day? What are those results? What results needs to happen, or what outcome do you need to happen in that day? If we think of outcomes, we will do those actions to get us to the outcome instead of wasting time doing things just because they can be done, or they quote unquote, I really do need to insert the random thing, you don't need to do, right? And so the end goal is not to do more. It is to do what is most important and most meaningful to progress you toward a specific destination. At Best Today, we exist to help women just like you be your best one today at a time. So each week on the podcast, we are going to highlight your stories and your voices. So let's see what's in the inbox today.
Hi. My name is Jeanette. I've been living with depression and anxiety since I was 16 years old, and the pandemic hit me really hard. But having the Best Today Guide gave me an opportunity to slow down and look at the big picture, which is something that's very important for me in managing my anxieties and fears and sadness. Planning ahead, looking at the big picture, giving me space to reflect on my gratitude is something that has gotten me through this last year. And I'm eternally grateful for that. Focusing on results and outcomes instead of do this, do that, made it more celebratory to me. And I feel more successful and happier.
Thank you, Jeanette, so much for sharing your story with us here on the Best Today podcast. If you want to find out why the Best Today Guide is just so fantastic and works for women like Jeanette all across the globe, go to besttodayguide.com to learn more. And now let's get back to the episode. So you have the space to list those things out that you need for that specific day. That's all step 2, planning every day the night before. Now, step 3 is to begin with our Best Today morning practice, which has 4 questions. The first is setting that standard, is asking, what does my best today look like? Setting that standard and placing that reminder about how you want to be in this day. This can and it does change daily, and it's only your best and your best today, right? It's your best today, not what was my best last week, yesterday, what I hope it will look like tomorrow. It's best today. The company's not best yesterday, right? And I revisit this multiple times throughout my day when I want to pick up my phone, when I need a brain break, before and after taking a call. I'll just take a 20-second glimpse to remind myself of what I told myself at the beginning of my day. So you do this at the beginning of every morning. It's a part of my morning routine. What I said, what bar I lifted for myself. This is what I said my best looks like today. So this is where I'm going to rise to. So something might happen where I'm like, ooh, that makes me want to do X, Y, or Z. But I go back and I say, this is what I said today. This is what I defined as my best today. And this is the standard I'm going to uphold. I do the same thing also with the next section, which is looking at your self-destructive habits. What are they? Spelling those things out. Self-awareness is necessary. Being introspective, looking within is so necessary in being your best. The second step of looking at in the morning, the 4 things you look at in the morning, this second question about your self-destructive behaviors is critical. And what so many women actually have said is one of the most helpful aspects of the Best Today Guide process, because awareness is the first step in doing something about or addressing something that you are doing that causes you harm, that doesn't help you, that's destructive. And we all have them every day. But you can also overcome them. That's the thing. Not acknowledging it, not saying it out loud, not writing it down, not talking about it, that's not going to help you overcome it. So you first have to address it, and then to begin to do the unlearning or the steps or the boundaries, putting the things in place to do away with those habits and the patterns. That's why we bring it out. That's why we bring it to the surface. So that's the second question. The third is your vision. And this is completely up to you and your interpretation and where you are and how vivid you want to be and how far out you want to go. You use this section as you want. But the truth of the matter is, without vision, people will perish. So who do you want to be? Where are you going? Like, what's the destination? One of the reasons I love knowing the destinations is you can then let go of everything that's not going to get you there and is irrelevant to it, right? What is the vision for your life? Would you do some of that work on the front end in the Getting Started pages? That's not a question that you save for retirement. You're like, oh, I'll think about that when I'm 60, 70. No. That's the question you think about right now. Now, if you're listening and you're 60 or 70, today is the day to start thinking this question, right? It's a question for today, regardless of your age, because today you are taking steps toward a future you want or you don't want, but you're walking towards something. You're either walking toward a future you're going to be grateful for the steps you made, or you're walking toward a future where you're going to regret it. So be clear by writing out what your vision for your future is. And there's so much opportunity here to make it your own. Some people draw in that section. Some people write out different things for afar, for close up. There's no one way to write out your vision in this section. And the future is yours to define. And I wanted that to be that way so that it can be what you need. I spend my time writing about things in the present. I write about things that I expect to happen in 3 years, 10 years, 20 years from now. And writing them out it really does, hear me out. It affects the choices that I make in every day. Thinking about where I'm trying to be, knowing what that is, it affects the choices I make. It helps me to make better choices. Your future is connected to today. And that's the point of this morning practice, is to begin to make those connections, which is what leads me to the last of the 4, which is, what's one thing you're doing today that progresses you towards your vision for the future? And you just write the one thing you're doing. And here's the thing, because a lot of people think, oh, well, if I want to do this great thing at, that step 1,000, I'm just at step 1. If you go from step 1 to step 2, that progressed you closer. 2 is closer to 1,000 than 1 is. right? If you go 1.2 is closer to 1,000 than one is. Progress is progress. It's progress is progress. Okay. And if you're like me, I am a visual learner and you want to see inside the actual Best Today guide, you can go to besttodayguide.com and see inside. There's a video. We have pictures of the inside pages. You can see the steps. And we just have so many wonderful things coming to help you see what it looks like so that there's no barrier between you and understanding what this is and how it can benefit you. Okay. And we'll continue to update our show notes with all those links as well. So make sure you visit show notes at besttodayguide.com/2. Okay. So that was the what. What is the Best Today guide, right? The second, let's get to the why. Why the Best Today guide? Why is it different? I touched on why the Best Today guide is different from a traditional planner and explaining what it is in a few ways. Number one, it's not a place to take your chaos and your busy and throw it down and put some stickers on it and make it look cute, right? It's like taking your garbage, throwing it out in your, living room, but putting some potpourri out so it at least smells better, or putting flowers over it. No, that's not going to help your life. That's not going to help you be your best. And that's what happens in a lot of traditional planners for a lot of people. You just have this list form of stuff. The Best Today guide gives you the space to think and breathe and walk through the getting started pages so you can begin thinking about who you are, what you want, what won't get you there, what you don't want. The focus of the Best Today guide is on you and not what you can get done. And here's the secret. If you learn to do that, if you learn to be a better you, you're going to do better things. You have to first be your best before you do your best, which is why I'm focusing on the being. The doing is going to come. I trust that, right? So we really believe that being your best precedes doing your best. And everyone wants to do their best, but don't want to do the work to be their best. And that's why there's this cycle of, I did it for 2 days. I did it for 2 weeks. I did it for 2 years, but then I went 17 years after that, not doing it, right? But if you can get the being first, it's so important, right? And that's what the Best Today guide offers you. We also give you space to preview and think about every week before the week begins so that you have that space to be intentional about what you'll do in your weeks. And when it comes to planning your days, we begin again with you before we ever get to the list, the stuff, right? Your morning routine, your emotional health, your mental health, your physical health are at the forefront in the Best Today guide. And the morning practice has you thinking each day about your best, your behaviors, your vision for the future. And with it being an undated product, you get to start at any given time. So that's just a few of the ways that the Best Today guide is different from anything else that's out on the market. And we're just different. And that's just a few ways. The how. How does it help you? So the Best Today guide helps you make you a priority. It helps you to be intentional and proactive with your time, with your days, with your life. No more just going from day to day, winging it and to-do listing it, really. But thinking, who am I? What do I want? What is this vision for my life, and how can I make sure I'm taking care of myself and making space for what I need to help me get there? And what can I let go of that won't get me there? We teach you to think through. This is how you begin to think. It's one of the ways in which we help you be your best one today at a time, starting with getting clear on who you are and what you want, how to be proactive and intentional with your time. Those are the places where we start. So that's how it helps you on this journey of being your best. Right where you are is we look at your time and we look at your future. We're looking at what matters so you can understand how so much of your energy and space and time and resources are going toward things that do not. Let's do when. When do you start the Best Today guide? You do it the second it arrives to your door. You can open it up and you can start with those getting started pages. And then whenever it makes sense for you to preview the upcoming week, you begin there. Some people do it on Fridays. Some people do it on Sundays. I've done both. If I do it on a Friday, I always go back and revisit it on Sunday. So that's the when and the who. Who is the Best Today guide for? The Best Today Guide was created for women who desire to be their best one today at a time. It was created for women who want to be proactive and want to live lives of intention and vision. For women who are introspective or desire to be introspective and trusting of the process of the Best Today Guide, right? You trust that the 3-step process works if you do the work, right? That's who I created it for. Now, do we have men who use the Best Today Guide? We sure do. Typically, those are men who saw the results their wives were getting or their women in their lives were getting, and they then had them order it. And I know this because I get the emails. I've actually had a woman email me and say, can I buy this for my husband? Absolutely. You can buy it for any human. But if you can benefit from getting clear on what you want, who you are, and being proactive and intentional with your time, the Best Today Guide can help you. And so the last question is the where. Where do I get my Best Today Guide, girl? You can go and learn more, see inside of it, read reviews of women who share their real experiences with the Best Today Guide. All can be found at besttodayguide.com, which will also be linked. Well, the show notes is on the same thing, besttodayguide.com/2. But yeah, you can see videos inside, and we're going to continually share the stories of women who are winning with the Best Today Guide. But we put everything that you need in one place at besttodayguide.com. Whew. How many times did I say Best Today Guide or intentional or intention in this episode? Like, did you count? It's a lot. I believe in this product so wholeheartedly, and every single word and every component of this product is intentional. There's not one thing more that was needed or one thing less of what I knew was needed to help you right where you are. So if you have not already ordered your Best Today Guide, you can go again to besttodayguide.com. And if for some reason, after reading through everything we've provided, your question hasn't been answered, you can always email us at besttoday@shantaegrant.com, which we'll also link to in the show notes at besttodayguide.com/2. Thanks so much for listening to episode 2 of the Best Today podcast. I am truly honored that you shared your time and attention with me for this episode. And until next time, I want you to remember that you are capable and you are worthy of being your best one today at a time. Today, just as you are, because you have everything you need to have everything you want. So go on and shout it out as you live it out. This is what my best today looks like. Thanks so much for listening to today's episode. If you enjoyed this week's episode of the Best Today podcast, you are going to love the Best Today Guide. Our Better Than a Planner guide teaches you how to get clear on what you want, identify your self-destructive habits and behaviors, and intentionally create space to prioritize yourself every single day. Don't go the journey to being your best one today at a time without the Best Today Guide. See inside its pages and order yours today at besttodayguide.com. Even better, when you order the Best Today Guide, we gift you with your first month free inside of the Best Today membership. So what are you waiting for? We're giving you everything you need to trade busy for intention. Go to besttodayguide.com and order yours today and join thousands of women across the globe proclaiming each day, this is what my best today looks like.